And welcome to Comic Book Weekly. I'm Traps. I'm here with the gang. Today, Jordan's going to be covering Red Sonja and TMNT. Miles is going to be covering Kick-Ass 3 and Brain Boy. And Malcolm's going to be covering it's King's Watch, right?
Watch.
And it's the Court of Owls.
Yeah,
I'm going to be covering the Riddler Villains Month, and I'm also going to be covering Avengers for you guys with the TMNT Infinity. So, starting with me, it's going to be about Riddler first. I loved the artwork. It's done by Ray Fox. He also did the writing, which was different. He also worked with Scott Snyder on the plot, which is pretty cool. In total, I would give it like probably about a 9 for like the actual writing in that, because it's a great story about his character. 9 kapow. Kapow! Guys, yes! I'm off today, I guess. And then the art was really good, except for this one panel where like he's flying through the air with like a flying knee to the face or something like that. It's a little bit awkward.
It looks weird.
But other than that, it was like a great artwork, so I'm gonna give that like an 8.5 kapows, man. A great issue.
It was a good issue. I liked it a lot too. I probably have to agree with you on all that stuff. Probably 9 for writing, 9 kapows for writing, 8.5 for art. Yeah, cool. Definitely a cool issue.
Okay, well, I read this week. I'm gonna start off with Brain Boy, which was their first issue. It was an old comic back originally from the 60s, and they decided to reboot it. Yeah. Guy has psychic powers. Well, he has what a normal psychic powers you would say has. But I was reading the comic, the story. I'd say the story was good. It enticed me. My only one problem was though, it felt like I was watching a movie. A lot of the scenes really just cut really to like the chases, the important parts. There wasn't much of the development. It did a bit of development, but not as much as I had hoped on the first issue. Then I'd say I'd give the story about 7.5 kapows. And then the art, who was done by Silva, I'd have to say I loved it. I loved the whole idea, the cell shady, cartoony look. It made a great point in the comics when it was showing all his TK abilities. But my big problem with him was everyone was wearing eyeliner. They were all wearing eyeliner. Even Matt Price, who's the main character, eyeliner. I'd have to say the art, though, I'd give about 7 kapows.
Sweet. My first issue this week is Red Sonja number 3. A couple of months ago, they reissued. Dynamite restarted the Red Sonja main series. Anything you need to know about Red Sonja, you can watch the old movie with Bridget Wilson and Arnold Schwarzenegger, which is awesome. The first couple of issues left me on the fence. I wasn't really sure where the new writer Gail Simone was going, but the art by Walter Giovanni was excellent. So I wasn't 100% sure if I was going to stick with the comic, but this issue is very good. It focuses a lot on how Sonja became the She-Devil with a sword, and it's a very good issue. Where Gail Simone takes it, I'm not 100% sure, but I'll give this story 8 kapows, and I'll give the art 9 kapows. It's excellent art. It's really good to look at, and I mean, anytime scantily clad woman is in a comic book, I mean, take notice. Let's be real.
My first comic today will be issue 23.2 of Batman and Robin. For all those of you who don't know, that would be issue 1 of the Court of Owls. This is a very cool storyline. What the Court of Owls is a rich elite of Gotham controlling Gotham. For all those of you who haven't heard of the Court of Owls before, they were first released last year from Scott Snyder in the first 8 issues of Batman. Very, very cool stuff. And what the Court of Owls is known for is having their assassin, which is known as the Talon. And it's their lead assassin. They kill people who they believe that are interrupting Gotham's growth or people who get in their way. And so what this issue is about is the court itself and their reaction to when all the Justice League is destroyed. So their plan is they go underground and they hide, and it's really cool seeing this view of the rich and elite. The writer was James Tynan IV, and the artist was Jorge Lucas. Jorge Lucas. And so I found the art was really good for the...
Wait a second, is that Mexican for George Lucas?
No. It kind of does sound like it, though.
It's Mexican for George Lucas.
I wouldn't think so. Jorge's not Mexican for George, alright?
It is!
That's racist.
No, it's not Mexican for George, it's Spanish for George.
Jesus.
So, yeah, Spanish.
Don't worry, guys. We'll just Google this later.
Right. Well, so I found the art was really good for the Court of Owls itself. In some scenes, I was like, I can't see much in here. I would have liked to have seen a bit more of the detail of the background, the faces. It was really dark, and I appreciate that for the villains, but they should have put a bit more, a bit less scratchy would have been nice. But overall, the writing of the comic, I would give an 8.5. It was
8.5 what?
8.5 kapows.
Kapow.
And for the art, I give maybe a 6. I mean, like I said, I liked it, but there was some pretty big 6 kapows. There's some pretty big things that I didn't actually enjoy about it. So,
So what you're telling me is I shouldn't have passed it off to this guy in my sub? I should have just kept it?
They're saying it was only okay.
I really enjoyed the story. The art just wasn't amazing.
So I probably
So
should
what
have
was I getting? An 8 and
Yeah,
I have to steal it from you?
Well, you can
That's
say
pretty
right
good.
now.
All the quote that's been happening.
Yeah.
So for the record, the Shack gives an 8 for the story and 6 for the art.
Eight
8.5.
what?
Bows!
Kapow.
It's an 8.5
I'm
for
sorry.
the story.
Shack,
What, though?
I don't have no beef with you.
Kapows.
Yeah, that's right, Shaq.
Don't call me. I thought it was the Shaq, and now it's
It's
Shaq.
the Shaq. I mean, we
Okay,
just...
then
Because you were being
You
formal.
block it down. You block
Okay.
those comics
No,
down.
no.
No.
It's a CK, not a Q. It's different. So my second comic this week was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles micro series Villains Hun. I don't know if the title's on there. Anyway, the original iteration of Hun was a big sumo wrestler who was the leader of the Purple Dragons gang. This version of Hun is actually Casey Jones' dad if you read it. Any TMNT title or watched the second and third movies. You know who Casey Jones is. Well, in this version, Hun is Casey's dad. It is a fantastic comic book. The art is spectacular. It was written by Mike Costa and Ben Epstein, and the art was done by Mike Henderson. My only problem with this comic is that, because I read the whole ongoing series, Casey gets hurt critically in TMNT number 22 or 23, and in 24 he has a vision of his mom talking to him. In this issue, in Hun, they show him speaking about his wife, and all of a sudden she's blonde. So the colorist, Ian Herring, on the Hun, what's up, dude?
So I want to get this straight though. You don't mind the Hun being totally changed.
No, because
But the thing that bothers you
yeah,
is
The
the
mom's
hair.
hair.
continuity, because it's a whole new series. They've
Continuity?
The whole-
They just changed the character. That kills
Yeah, but they
continuity.
changed the character in the context of the series. It's a re-envisioning of the series. It's excellent. I give this issue 10 kapows. I loved it. The art,
Whoa.
the
Perfect.
Risky.
the art,
Risky
9
something.
kapows. It would be a 9.5, but Ian Herring, bro, like, come on. She was a brunette like 2.5 months ago,
she
and now
dyed
she's
her
a blonde. I'm watching you, Ian Herring.
But he's
I'm watching
probably
you.
not watching you, so.
I'll find you.
Okay, the next comic I did was Kick-Ass 3, Issue 3. I'd honestly like to say that I've read Kick-Ass all the way through, and it has been nothing but a great ride. The first thing I'd like to talk about is the cover of Kick-Ass 3. It is just amazing. It basically, the picture describes the story, and it gives it the flavor that you need to throw out there. And I've never been really a big fan of Romata Jr.'s art. The art is kind of pencily, and it looks like alright. Like the backgrounds are never really paid enough attention to. But I did enjoy the background of the boobies in this issue. I really did.
Boobies?
Yeah, that was strippers.
In prison?
No.
Comic book, it's comic book nudity.
Continuity,
It's like the most
okay,
underrated
so-
form of nudity.
I don't want to ruin anything, so I
Okay,
won't say all
so
the strippers
the
are there.
strippers eventually in prison. Okay.
No,
good to go.
but and
Seriously though, comic book nudity, the most underrated form of nudity.
yeah,
Because the boobies are so,
Well drawn. They take time
not
and effort.
real life like.
like, unnaturally large. And they're perfect. Like, real boobies never look
That can
like
go in
that.
our discussion though.
We'll talk about comic book boobies later.
I'll continue off with the story. Basically, it continues off with Hit Girl in the situation where she has found herself in, which someone might have ruined earlier. I'm not going to say who, what they did. But if you weren't paying attention,
About this gorgeous cover that you love.
but it finally carries off with her story, which she has a great part in the story now, and it's fun. It made it more interesting. The last couple of issues have been a bit dry. Then it goes back to Dave Lewinsky, who is Kick-Ass himself. Dave Lazuski. I can't believe I said that one, but yes, Dave Lazuski. And
It's unpronounceable, let's just be real. Like, it's like Von Graubacher. Who thankfully is not one of the artists on this week's Battle of the Atlas.
and which we found out does
was a
not grab
decent
cow.
For the record.
The record. But when I was reading the story for Dave Lazuski, it finally gave him a little bit more credit rather than always being so dark towards him and all the other comics. I'm sure it's a build up towards it, but it got there and it was great. I'd give the art 6.5 kapows, and they only get that extra 5 for the boobies. Then I give the story about 8 kapows.
Okay, so I'm doing.
Cow.
I'll do a big one, I promise.
Just saying. It was kind of soft.
Okay, so for my comic, my second one, I'm doing Avengers, which was written by Jonathan Hickman, which ties into Infinity. It's very action-packed, lots of excitement going on this issue, lots of like betrayal and just action and all this cahoots kind of thing going against each other. It's really good though, like the artwork's fantastic with it. Like I haven't seen this art like since he was doing FF with Steve Epitang kind of stuff.
We went to the shop today, and I picked up Mighty Avengers, which is an Infinity tie-in, and I turned to him, I go, what other Infinity tie-ins are today? And
I told you about the Hunt.
He goes, The Hunt. I'm like, okay, sweet, and I pick it up, and then I leave, and I see him holding Avengers, what, 19? It's 19?
I think so, it's 19.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, why didn't you tell me about that one?
It's
Now I've got to
mine.
go back.
It's mine, not yours. I've been collecting.
And he's like, I thought you knew.
Anyway.
Like, no, I didn't. I asked him for a reason.
Anyway, though, in total, it's a great issue. I'd give it like 9 on the story, although 9 kapows, and an easily 6 point. No, what am I saying? 6.5.
6?
It's easily 9 on the art too. 9 kapows, man.
9 kapows.
This is my second comic book I'm reviewing today, and the comic is King's Watch, and it is written by Jeff Parker. Partially the reason why I picked it up. When you start enjoying comics more, you'll pick up comics because of this. And so the artist of it would be Mark Laming. Now, what this comic book is about, it's about three heroes coming together to save the world. It doesn't really explain much in the first comic, but the three heroes are the Phantom, Mandrake the Magician, and Flash Gordon. Now, I've read a bunch of Phantom stuff before, and it's pretty interesting, so I was kind of happy to see him in it. I don't know much about Flash Gordon or Mandrake the Magician. I know Flash Gordon used to be a television series, kind of before my age. But, so the first issue was the three of them and how they're reacting to this apocalyptic situation. It's not necessarily apocalyptic because it's just what they're trying to examine, and it shows all their different views on it in the different areas. Now, talking about the art now of Mark Laming, what made it pop out for me the most was that each character was given a different situation and to write him in. Like, the Phantom was in Africa, and I seen the artist, and I felt like he was drawing something completely different from when he actually drew Mandrake the Magician. I thought that was really cool, separating them that separate him, show him a different kind of art right at the beginning. And the same goes for Flash Gordon. And the atmosphere. And it created this atmosphere of difference between them. So I'm going to enjoy reading the next few comics to see them get together and see how the art collages to mix well. And so for the writing of the series, it was really well done, but the problem is there's a lot of setup, not a whole much was done in that issue, and you found out a lot about characters that you really were like, okay, I thought it was just about these three. Well, it's about more than these three characters. They're set up a lot. So I give the writing itself a 7 because 7 kapows, and
The Shaq's still not on board with the kapows.
yeah, no, definitely
He
not.
needs to be, though.
Definitely
Tell him
not.
to get on board with the kapows. Alright?
So, but the art, I definitely give a 9 because I loved
what?
9 kapows.
That's right.
Because I loved seeing the difference in all the characters and all their atmospheres. I loved how the artistic styles were totally different. It made the book for me, it felt like 3 different comic books. Now, like I said, I want to see them come together. If the artist could truly pull it off by changing the art styles and bringing them all together when they're all come together, I'll be very impressed.
Remember to pick up your weekly comics.